ranger for the Park Service down in the National Seashore, and she had got all of the access for us. She's still an extremely active member of the amateur radio community, and just this past week they had an event down in commemorating the sinking of the Portland, and she put together quite a program down at Highland Light, which was one of probably the last point of land that the Portland may have passed by before it sank during the storm. And she's very
she's been very active in education and public awareness of amateur radio, and I think it's fascinating that she got licensed because of the Marconi event.
That's right. Yeah.
Really,
that's what really brought her into it, was the Marconi.
It is, yeah.
And I was reading here about this, the Portland, I think it was in last month's Q Street, the publication, saying it was going to be on, and I'm pretty sure, didn't it? I think it had a picture of it, didn't it?
I'm not sure if Barbara's picture was in there.
Well, anyways, I remember reading about it, that she was going to do the Portland. So that was last week. And you brought up Marconi. And that we'll be doing that.
We're doing a show on that probably somewhere around, before the time of the anniversary, which is the 19th of January.
Okay. Now, what do you think, we're talking about the different clubs, when do you normally meet? You're talking about one on 40 meters. Is there one that just meets on 20 meters daily? I know there's a YL, but I don't think it's the...
There is, oftentimes people get confused with YL ISSB, which is the International Single Sideband System, which really, I guess, was started by some YLs, and I'm not exactly sure how they got the YL in it, because it's a standalone organization of its own, and it's not limited to women. It's a organization that's open to anyone who wants to. They meet daily, and I have some good friends who are active with that group. I don't happen to be. They have a daily net. YLRL, there are many nets that are under our umbrella. The one on Thursday nights is every week. There have been a couple in existence in mid-afternoon on Wednesday and Thursday for a number of years. Again, good for some people, not so good for others.
Is some of that information listed up on that website?
Yes, it is.
Okay, well, that'd be a good way for people to find
also
out.
mentioned there is an organization of New England women amateur radio operators, and our name is RONE, which is WRONE, and Women Radio Operators of New England. We actually have physical get-togethers twice a year. We have a luncheon meeting the first weekend of November and the first weekend of May. We meet at a restaurant in various locations around New England. It's an organization that began in the 50s and has had ups and downs across the years. Right now we have a medium-sized group that gets together. We have members in all 6 states. Limited number in Vermont and Rhode Island. There's a limited number of hams in Vermont and Rhode Island.
I need to get in touch with my niece so that she can become a member of that. I think that would be great for Katie.
Is that 75 meters? Or?
We have a net on 75 meters on Wednesday morning. But we have both organizations have newsletters, which are helpful in keeping people in touch. And the meetings, the semi-annual meetings of the New England group. And it's just a support network to get us acquainted with each other, because sometimes if you're the only woman ham that you don't know anybody in your neighborhood, you feel a kind of isolation sometimes. There are a number of women amateur radio operators in this area. I know of some in Braintree, Quincy, Marshfield, Hingham, and other local towns.
Now, my mother became licensed, and it was strictly because of my father. Because my father, he was the one that got me into the hobby back in, the early '60s is when I started playing around, listening to the radio. In '62, I got my first license. But when they moved to San Diego, my mother used to tag along to all the radio club meetings with my father, and she was so excited when she called me up on the phone to say, and she gave me her call sign, WD6, WRU, and I said, oh, you mean where's red underwear? She did not like the phonetics that I gave her. But anyways, it was great because, like you said, Tony was licensed before you, and so this was great with my mother.
My sister surprised me this winter by calling up and telling me that she'd passed her tech license.
Oh, no kidding.
And I had no idea she had any interest, but she's coming at it from the emergency preparedness angle.
Okay.
She's, her position at the hospital that she works at is the coordinator for clinical services and for emergencies. I've got it all twisted around. But they offered licensing classes because she's out in Kansas City area. The hospitals out there all have amateur radio equipment that's been donated to them, and they have active. They wanted more amateur radio operators on staff in each hospital, and so she went. They just were having an exercise. I think it's tomorrow, out there of coordinating their hospital nets, their emergency preparedness. And that's another activity that many women are getting involved in amateur radio, is emergency preparedness.
Yeah. There was something I just read, well, in that handicap, when we did that handicap hams, one of the women that were in a wheelchair, after 9/11, she felt she had to give something back to this country, and she went and she got her amateur license and made herself available for any emergencies.
Speaking of something that part of the conversation that came up when we had seen the thing on handy hams, Kathy, who used to have the regular following on the Waltham repeater, what was her call sign? Because she was on for so many years and she had tremendous disability, but yet she was able to talk with everybody, and everyone knew her.
I was never acquainted with her. I've heard of her.
I thought maybe you had known her.
No, I had known, and I had not had an opportunity to work her.
I know they have a scholarship in her name and everything up at Project Mounted, I think.
The Waltham crew.
But one of the things that I make reference to sometimes here as we talk about one of the ham radio activities is contesting, and it's trying to work as many people as you can. And I know that there's one contest that's the YLOM contest where it's kind of a competitive thing, and you get involved with that,
That's
right?
one of my favorite contests, I'll have to say. It's called the YLOM contest. It's always on the weekend near Valentine's Day in February. And everybody's welcome to join in the contest. You score for working the opposites. So women can get points for working men. Men can get points for working women. There are awards for people who submit their logs. It's loads of fun because most of the time a YL voice transmits quite well on SSB. Field day is an example. I used to get on and do runs for hours because people could hear my voice. And it is fun because the gals do get on that weekend, and there's usually more than one contest going on, so people are anxious to make contacts with anybody because they're doing some kind of contest, and it's just a great
Now, how does that work with a husband and wife under the same roof, same antenna, with one transmitter?
Well, you see, my husband works on Saturdays, so I get on the air.
So you have Saturday from so-and-so and Tony has Sunday from so-and-so.
Actually, we've worked a lot of contests tandem.
Oh, I bet you have, yeah. You work well together.
We just take turns.
Yeah.
And we've worked a lot of you don't make as many, you may not make quite as many contacts, but it depends on the contest.
Mm-hmm. I know even Tony has said where, like field day, where I understand we might be doing field day again this year, which is kind of great. And if we can get other people than just Tony to do a little work. But he was saying how you and him got on in field day just in the afternoon or something. I forget how many contacts you made. And I mean, I've done the same thing without getting out. Just get in, and it's a lot of fun. But
well, many years I did field day with Ann and Tony and the group, the Cape Boy Radio Club, and like Ann said, when she would get on the air, you could just you could go and sit down and have a cup of coffee or eat some watermelon or something cool because she'd just go.
Well, we interviewed you, and I could never find the video when you guys were setting up down in Wapatuck, and myself and Eddie Anders, W1PD. We went down.
That.
Yeah, and I've been looking through, and believe me, I got You know, I'm the one for putting it away. Did I give you one?
No, I think I may have some, if not that, from some other stuff from before. So maybe we can put a compilation together.
Yeah, because